I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Jamestown Public School Board to order. It is May 2nd, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room in the Jamestown Middle School. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Diane, I haven't asked you this, but can you read the school board norms, please? Thank you.
The school board norms are to share and respect varied opinions and speak with a united voice once a decision has been reached, to prudently prioritize resources in a student-centric manner that aligns with the district's strategic plan, to exhibit a mindset of continuous improvement through adequate preparation for meetings and a commitment to board education, and to commit to assessing board effectiveness to ensure high-quality governance for the staff, students, and community of Jamestown.
Thank you, Diane. Any public communication? No public communication. Does the board wish to declare any conflicts of interest this evening? No conflicts of interest. Moving on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Aaron, second by Melissa. Any discussion? Anything you'd like pulled off? There being no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to our regular meeting, winter athletic recognition. Melissa, would you read the first part? And as your name is announced, please join me over here and then come up on top here and stand. And we'll do one big picture with everybody. So just hang out on the stage.
For the boys basketball, Adam Kallenbach, all conference. Girls basketball, Annie Nabui, all conference, all state, WDA senior athlete. Ella Falk, all conference. For gymnastics, the team was the state team runner-up with a team score of 146.650. And Haley Nelson was all-conference, first team all-state, WDA and state senior of the year, state runner-up on floor. Emma Hillerud was all-conference, first team all-state, state runner-up on beam. Julia Scari, all-conference, first team all-state. Blair Arbuckle, all-conference, second team all-state. Brenna Hatch, all-conference, and Andrea Bitz, WDA and State Coach of the Year.
Okay, for boys hockey, Brody Hillstrom, all-conference, all-state. Connor McLaughlin, all-conference, all-state. Hunter Nelson, all-conference, all-state, WDA, and state outstanding senior athlete. Nolan Nenow, all-conference, all-state. Matt Stockert, WDA and state coach of the year. Girls hockey, Alexis Kirkeby, all-conference, all-state. Bernadette Belzer, all-conference, all-state. Andy Fitzgerald, WDA and State Coach of the Year. Boys swim and dive, Teddy Solinsky, all-conference. Boys wrestling, Grady Anderson, WDAY state runner-up at 132 pounds. Aiden Brown, WDA runner-up and state champ at 138 pounds. Colton Muse, WDA and state champ, 160 pounds. Jackson Walters, WDA champ and state runner-up at 170 pounds. Girls wrestling, Hannah Schustrom, WDA Tournament Champion, State 3rd place, and Paris Eslick, WDA Tournament Champion and State Runner-Up.
Thank you.
Back to our regular meeting. Under B, any correspondence? And I will say, we had a couple of those individuals also that emailed and let us know that they had prior commitments and appreciated being honored tonight, so. Board education is C, political competency, dollars for scholars. Elaine, come on up.
How fun was that to see all those achieving kids, huh? That was really cool. Well, thank you for the opportunity tonight to come and talk with you about the Jamestown Public Schools Foundation, which is known as Jamestown Dollars for Scholars. We've got a lot of exciting things happening, and so I thank Dr. Leck for the invitation to come and share some of those things with you. So first off, after many years of small, labor-intensive, time-consuming fundraisers, we decided that we would shoot for the stars and join the Giving Hearts Day. So RM Stout provided the match for us for Giving Hearts Day, and in total, we raised $12,000. So that, to me, kind of equated to about 4.5 shoe drives. So that was a really good thing. So we're very happy about that. So again, thank you to RM Stout for pushing us to do that, and to those of you on the board who chose to give to our first ever Giving Hearts Day. We know that there are many places that you can put your money, and we appreciate the fact that some of you chose Dollars for Scholars, so thank you for that. We've just wrapped up our scholarship selection process, and in fact, on Wednesday at 2 o'clock is going to be the awards program at the high school. And this year, we gave 45 scholarships to 45 different students, totaling $44,600. So the scholarships involved were to those students that were going into agriculture, education, business, vocational opportunities, communication, a host of different areas. And those are just some of the areas that the scholarships went to. The Guidance Counseling Department and their administrative assistant, Dorothy Lauinger, have been instrumental in helping us with this process, as well as Donna Schmitz. All of the students who want to apply through a portal at the high school through the Guidance Department, and those people are relentless in getting the students in there to apply for the scholarships. They also work very, very hard to get the kids, once they have applied, to hit submit, because lots of times they don't do that. And oftentimes you might wonder, well, why didn't this student get a scholarship, or why didn't that student get a scholarship? And oftentimes it can be simply because that student did not apply or that student did not hit submit. So this year we have some new scholarships that we're awarding through the generosity of individuals and businesses. The Dan Poland Machine Trade Scholarship is one that Brett Poland set up for someone who's going into a vocational field such as welding, construction, or auto body. That is a flow-through scholarship, meaning that he will give that money each year, $2 for scholars, and we in turn will award it to the deserving senior, and that amount was $1,500. The Knights of Columbus chose to endow a scholarship this year, meaning that they gave $20,000, so it's one and done. They have given their amount, and we're very grateful to them for that. We're also very grateful to Dr. Allie Fallgater, who, after she had her new building built, realized even more the value of hard work and showing up on time every single day so that our lives are made more comfortable. So she endowed a scholarship for $20,000. And because our investments did well last year, we were able to award 8 additional achievement scholarships to hardworking, well-deserving seniors, and those scholarships were $1,000 apiece. So we awarded 11 more scholarships this year than we did last year, and we're very proud of that. We're also excited that next year we will be able to award the Class of 1967 scholarship, which has been endowed by their classmates. We have been the recipients of many memorials, class reunion money, and also during Giving Hearts Day, many of them said that they would like to designate their amount to be given toward that fund. So as you can see, we're working very hard to grow the foundation, and currently we have over $600,000 in our fund. And our goal someday is to be able to award a scholarship to every single senior that applies. And I believe that those of us on the board, all of us, many of them here tonight, believe that our foundation exists within a community, and we are the guardians of that foundation's legacy. Each donor's desires are unique, and we do all we can to honor their wishes when we select their recipients. So, if any of you know of anyone who would like to be on the board, we welcome new faces and new opportunities to grow. And of course, we're always looking for ways to grow the foundation financially as well. We'll continue to work very hard to reach out to individuals and to businesses to establish relationships within our community so that we can serve our foundation well in the future. So, any questions?
Jason?
Thank you for your work and the boards. What percentage, you said the goal is 100% funding, or what percentage are we up to roughly now?
Well, this year, in looking at the list, there were 65 applicants, and we were able to give 45 scholarships. Now, there at one time was 76, but again, you got to hit submit. So that number, Jason, is much higher than it has been in years past. In years past, we've felt really good if we had 40 or 45 applicants. So this year, we were able to award 45 out of 65. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Leck?
If I may add to, and not that long ago, we increased the scholarship amounts from 500 to 1,000, and that was 5 or 6 years ago that we made that shift. So giving out more scholarships, but at twice the amount that the scholarships traditionally had been. So it requires a lot of additional fundraising and a lot of additional support, and we've been very fortunate.
And some of you might wonder about the scholarship process. Each student is assigned a number. And so this year we started with a numerical scoring system that came through from our Scholarship America, our national organization that we're affiliated with. And so based on the different criteria, for example, if you were applying for the vocational scholarship, there may be questions, have you taken any vocational classes? Do you plan to attend a vocational school? Those kinds of things. So those criteria are all taken into play when we're selecting the recipients. And we don't know the names of the recipients. So at the end of the day, it's kind of fun because there's sort of this reveal, and we find out who the students are that receive the awards. Anything else?
Diane?
Well, thank you for that very clear, concise presentation. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciated it. And I'm trying to recall back when I had a senior. As I recall, he applied for several different scholarships under Dollars for Scholars. And then he was fitted to what, you know, and I think in the end, he ended up getting several of them. Now, you mentioned there were 45 different students that were selected. Is that no longer happening where one student might get more than one scholarship?
Thank you for asking that question. We try very hard to give one scholarship to each student and spread the wealth. So there are many scholarships that are given at the awards program from banks, from the Elks, from many, many different organizations and places. It's very possible that your child received several scholarships and they were from many different organizations. But in fact, as we go through and we look at the numbers, we actually say, well, that one has been a recipient, and we go on because we want to be able to recognize as many well-deserving, high-achieving seniors as we possibly can. And we also have a first-generation scholarship, which we're real excited about, that is granted to someone who is going to college for the first time from their family. So that's always a real exciting one to give.
Gail?
I would just like to say, having been on the board, to highlight all that you guys do, and it's a hardworking board, and I actually miss being on it.
Well, we miss you. Come back
I can
anytime,
come
Gail.
back sometime when things settle down. But the other thing is, I would like to second what you said, having worked at the counseling department. I know all the hours that they put in, and especially, I mean, the counselors, but Dorothy. Dorothy is absolutely amazing and knows about where each kid is in that process and is incredible. So
And
a special shout out. She works her tail off at that.
Well, and I also have to say our stocking caps, unfortunately, not our hats, but our stocking caps off to Sally, who has worked so tirelessly that gets the certificates, the folders, the awards. She kind of keeps us all on task and keeps all the balls, up in the air going. So thank you, Sally. Everybody works hard.
Jason?
So if an entity in our community would like to, is there a link on our district website? How would you recommend they get a hold of somebody?
Well, there's actually a Jamestown Dollars for Scholars website that you can go to. You can reach out. I meant to bring brochures, Sally, and I didn't, but we'll be sure to do that. You can reach out to any individuals, and we have many scholarships that are endowed. We also have many scholarships that are flow through, and each year Sally contacts those businesses or individuals, and they give the money. We assume that they will continue to award that scholarship as if we don't hear from them. And so, yes, thank you for asking that question.
And Elaine, for our public, just give some brief information if they would like a family named scholarship or a business named scholarship that would be endowed, so it would be given every year. Just explain that process.
Well, and we actually have some named scholarships that we haven't endowed. For example, the Dan Poland Machines is one that is not endowed, but you can also work towards endowing. You can give $5,000 for 4 years. You can, Sally, our individual, will work with you in doing that. So there are many different ways to endow. And we did raise the endowment cap a number of years ago from $10,000 to $20,000 because it was just the prudent thing to do. But we are more than happy to accept any financial gifts that come our way. In fact, we just had one from an elderly gentleman in Washington in March, I believe, who gave $500, just gave $500. And so we were so excited for that. We believe that we're out there in the community now. As hard as the shoe drive was, it put our name, I think, on the front burner. And I think people are aware of Jamestown Dollars for Scholars now. So we're just doing all we can to grow the foundation.
Thank you, Elaine. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for
tonight.
your questions.
Moving on, reports. Dr. Leck, Superintendent's report.
Thank you. You have my written report. I'll touch on a handful of items. If you scroll down to the second page, the kindergarten enrollment update at the April 4th board meeting, we talked about some lower than anticipated and certainly lower than typical kindergarten numbers that we had in terms of registrations. At that time, we had 77, which was a concerning number because it was significantly lower than what it would be at that time in a typical year. I am happy to say that as of April 26th, the district has 106 registrations. That's great news. That means we're heading in a positive trend. Just to provide some kind of general guidelines for registrations, I've kind of set some informal guideposts of 115 for 7 sections, 130 for 8 sections in terms of enrollment. That is not a hard and fast rule. That is not at 129 we have 7, at 130 we have 8. It's just a guidepost for us to use. We're certainly hoping to be at that 8-section amount because that's typically what we do. If we don't have 8 sections, that creates some personnel and some location issues that we would need to work through. So that's certainly the hope that we're at 8 sections, but that's just my internal, informal planning for the number of sections. Like I said, it's certainly good news to see an increase, and for those families that have not yet registered a kindergartner for next year, please reach out to central office 252-1950 so we can get registrations in place as we make our staffing decisions for the next year. This is really a crucial year for us to make sure that we are planning appropriately because those numbers are so low. And I'm just going to pause to see if there's any questions on enrollments.
Aaron, go ahead.
Just a general question on process then going forward. If we do end up with just 7 sections, what kind of process would that look like then to say this is what we're going to do for the district?
That's a great question. The board has policy on boundaries. So we would look to boundaries. You know, what are the number of students in each of those boundary schools, and we'd have to make a decision based on that. For example, and I'm making a very extreme example just to make the point, if one school has 3 and another school has 40 within the boundaries of that neighborhood school, we would look to move the 3 into some other boundaried elementaries. You know, if they're more spread out, we would have to make a decision in terms of what makes the most sense in terms of registrations. But a lot of that is simply just we're in a holding pattern. We have to wait and see what those actual registrations come out and where their boundaries are. But I will say one of the things that I think moving forward that as a board and as a district we need to make some determinations on are redrawing our boundary lines. I think as we look to see, we've had some differences in terms of schools. We always see ebbs and flows to a degree. You know, we might see 20 in one school per section one year and 14 the next. And some of that's just the ebb and flow of things. But I do think it would be beneficial to the district to engage in some study in terms of enrollment boundaries to make sure that there's a greater level of equity between the numbers each year that are coming, knowing that there's going to be a little bit of ebb and flow. But I think we need to look at what those boundary lines are and look to expand those, or change, I should say, to change those at some point. I hope I answered your question. Okay, thank you.
Jason.
2 questions. The boundary study you mentioned, would that then in turn potentially lead to facilities overview as far as, buildings we have? Would something like that come from a study like that?
I think they're interconnected. I think they're part of the same discussion.
And then do you see a scenario playing out where we would consider maintaining at least 1 section of kindergarten per building?
That's a good question. I think it depends on what the boundary show at each level. I think it really just depends on where those students are at. Because either way, if you're less than 8, there's going to be personnel and family concerns regardless of if you're moving from 2 sections to 1 in a multi-section, or if you're moving from 1 to 0. They are the all worst case scenarios. So we're hoping that those enrollments come in, so we're looking at 8, because that is how we are built at the elementary level, is for 8 sections.
Any other questions for Dr. Leck? I just want to comment, I appreciate the communication that you've been providing on this. That was one of the things that we talked about earlier this year, is just keeping open communication, improved communication, and I think rather than springing this on the board in May sometime, you've kind of identified something that could be of interest in the future, and just keeping us updated. No decisions are going to be made right now, but at least we have some information that we know something could happen, and I just want to say I appreciate that. Go ahead, Jason.
And I know this is a really tough question and a tough spot. We're seeing record number elementary positions open around the state, K-1, dozens of them. How long will we wait will we look within our current staff for a kindergarten teacher, should we need one or two? Or, because we've talked a lot about when is the ideal time to hire, that kind of thing. So what are you thinking there in terms of what we need to see by when? Does that make sense?
It does, and it is a tough question to answer, but with the recent upswing in registrations, it's also made me a lot more comfortable with where we could be going. So I've wanted to delay any decisions that we've made until we see, a closer number of where we're at. I think just like any position, we post it, and internal, external, we see what exists and we hire the best candidates, just like we would do in any other position.
Dr. Leck, for elementary, do we typically get a good number of applicants, generally speaking?
It's larger than in other more specialized, like high school math, for example, or high school science. The more specialized you get, the fewer candidates you're going to get, and I think that's common sense. But yes, elementary traditionally has had higher pools than others, but in any position right now, it's a challenge.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Moving on with your report.
Okay. Earlier this year, we piloted e-care nursing services at Louis L'Amour. That was through the support of a Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation grant. And I provided just the report on the types of services that have been in place since we started this. I think for students, that impact started in January, because I think it was right around the Christmas break that we started. So you'll see a lot of good services being provided for our students and staff through that program. So I think that's been a success thus far. On May 16th, so our next regular board meeting at 6 o'clock, we will do our long-term planning meeting that's required by North Dakota Century Code. It's 15.1-07-26. If you want to look at what that process actually requires, I'd like to do it similar to what we do with the budget hearing, where we'll meet at 6 o'clock. We'll open up for comments from the public at that time, and we'll post that. We'll make an advertisement so people can make sure that they attend if they so choose. We'll just put our meeting on hold at 6 o'clock. I'll do a presentation, again, just like the budget. Think of the budget hearing as structurally how we'll operate. I'll give a presentation. It'll be based on the School Boards Association template. I'm working on that now. And we'll present that and then allow for any questions and discussion from the board at all of those different levels and from the public as well. Once that's completed, I'll do a follow-up report, just adding what's been determined moving forward at the June 6th meeting, and that'll inform our strategic plan revision when that comes, and I'm working towards that during the summer. So that'll inform that process as well. A board regulation, our regulation on meal charging, we know there's been internal, external discussions regarding our policy, our board regulation IB-BR. That's the procedure for meal charging. What happens when meal accounts get to a certain deficit, and what's the procedures for us? We haven't had as a district to deal with that issue because of the pandemic, and the federal government has waived all of those, has paid for all of those meals for all students, not just free and reduced students. It's been for all of our students, and so that's been in place for the last few years. So we haven't had to revisit this issue. We're at the point now where that ends, potentially. I'm actually on a conference call with Senator Hoeven later on this week, I think on Friday, and we're going to talk about another bill that's making its way through the Senate right now that's asking for another extension. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more information in the coming weeks on that. But regardless, I believe it's time for us to plan. If we want to have that conversation, we should. Maybe what we're doing right now is what we want to do as a board and as a district. Maybe what we're doing isn't what we want to do, and we want to examine the different procedure and the process. So with that in mind, actually, as Mr. Roberts proposed a charter for an ad hoc committee that we study this. Talking to Dr. Larson, she appointed Aaron and Jason Rohr to serve in this committee along with central office staff, and we'll review what our policy is, our rationale for that policy, and have some discussions on what other districts are doing, what are federal guidelines in this area, and either come back with what we're doing is where we want to continue, or it's going to be here's a different procedure and here's a rationale for change. So that's where we're at on policy IBBR. I will say, though, I think we need to prepare as a district for how we are going to enact if that policy, whether it's this year or next year, how we're going to transition back into charging for meals. Our families, we have families in our district in elementary that have never paid for meals. And so, we have to think about how we're going to communicate that transition, how we're going to make that transition, how we're going to fund all of, getting back into that process. So those are all things that we need to think about. But the thought would be having a recommendation in place at our annual meeting in July, because if there is a budgetary impact, we're going to want to have that in our preliminary budget. The last item that I have relates to the calendar revision proposal. I'm going to be providing at our next meeting a recommendation for a school calendar revision for next year. For those that serve on the District School Improvement Committee, this was discussed quite a bit at that meeting as well. But our standards-based learning leadership team has been looking at how to implement standards-based learning. It's quite a task, and there's a lot of time and support that's needed to implement SBL well. And so they had reached out to me asking, what is the potential for, different opportunities for professional learning. And we talked about the days to hours and how there's an opportunity for flexibility within our schedule as long as we are above those required hours, which we are substantially above. So I asked them to draft a proposal to me. As I look at that proposal, I think it meets all of the criteria. I think it's a sound rationale for why they want to pursue 2 additional professional development days. And please note on there, I wrote April 21st, and that's the wrong date. Use the date that's on the proposal. But they are going to ask the board, they'll be here to kind of outline their rationale, why they came to this conclusion, what they're going to be doing during that time. But I wanted to provide the board with a little bit of a heads up so you can look that proposal over and determine any questions you might want to ask that committee. But my recommendation, based on conversations with them and their proposal, will be to support that. But I would certainly stand for questions if you have any.
Any questions about Dr. Luck's report? Go ahead, Gail.
In the past, there was a fund for students who struggled with that. Is that fund still there, and will that be a part of that plan so that we have students who, through hardship, end up with deficit lunch account?
Yep, so, you're talking deficit lunch account still, or back again. Yes, we do have that fund that exists now. We use that for a few different, we use that to support our pantries to a small degree. We use that to support those that have deficit lunch accounts as well. And so that would be part of that conversation when we talk about this is what we do. currently. And so we'll have conversations regarding that and how to pursue that, or how that can support moving forward.
Do we need a motion for that committee, that ad hoc committee? Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Aaron, anyone? Did you? Okay. 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 Moving on. E, old business, nothing under old business. F, new business, nothing under activities 1, nothing under 2, buildings and grounds, nothing under 3, curriculum, assessment, and instruction. Number 4, finance. Is there a motion for approval of the Artist in Residence Program Agreement with the Art Center for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $26,500? Motion by Gail, second by Melissa. Is there discussion? Sally, you want to talk, is there an increase just for the, or Dr. Leck? There's a little bit of increase on this, but,
It is now, I can't remember what it is.
okay. I should have asked you.
Yeah, 25.
Around $2,500 increase to this. It hasn't been increased for some time, I believe.
It started out years ago at 20,000, and I think it was 16, 17, it increased to 22,500, has been that since the 2020 year. So 2020 and 2021, it was 25,000, which is a $2,500 increase. And then now, if this is approved, that's another a $1,500 increase.
And they did ask for a little bit more, and we, just through discussions and negotiations with them, we settled on 26,500. So $1,500 increase.
So it's an increase over what we've done. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. B, approval of the fee schedule for the 2022-2023 school year. Is there a motion? Motion by Aaron, second by Gail. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 5, personnel. A, approval of 30 additional contract days for Cole Ringler Summer 2023 Agricultural Program at James Valley Career Technology Center. Is there a motion to approve? Melissa, motion? Second for Jason. Any discussion? Go ahead, Jason.
So Cole will start this August?
Yeah, it's a little bit different than it typically is for this position because the summer programming often includes SAEs, and there aren't SAEs this summer, so the start date's a little bit later. So we added this 30 additional contract days, and then we'll get back into no, we're going to continue to do extended contracts for this, but it's just a little bit different than what you would typically see because we are transitioning from 2 different instructors on what was a 12-month contract and now to extended contract time.
Go ahead, Jason.
So this position will remain 12 months, correct?
It will remain extended.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like the counselors have 20, some of them have 20 days, some of them have 10 days. This position has 30 days to cover the time in the summer to work with those students, SAEs. So it's the school calendar plus time in the summer.
The 30 days is based on the request from Mr. Gaylor, Mr. Heinert, based on what they feel like they need in terms of total days for the program, additional days, extended contract days.
Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second for approval of 30 additional contract days for Cole Ringler's Summer 2023 Agricultural Program at James Valley Career Technologies. There be no further discussion. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Under B, approval to hire Patrick Slosher, Behavior, Wellness, and Life Skills Teacher at the Blue Jay Academy for a salary of $47,295.62. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Melissa, second by Diane. Any discussion? Gail?
So I noticed it says it was Mindy Blackburn, I can't say it, Mindy Blackmore or Mindy Skunberg's former position. Is Mindy moving into, or,
No, this was an unfilled position.
so that would be
Correct.
that was held
Like,
open?
yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Got it now. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second for approval to hire Patrick Slosher, Behavior, wellness, and life skills teacher at the Blue Jay Academy at a salary of $47,295.62. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. C, approval to hire Colton Altringer for World History 2022 Summer School at $32.57 per hour. Is there a motion? Motion by Gail, second by Jason. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. D, approval to hire Jennifer Redfern, band teacher at the middle school at a salary of $47,398.23 upon a successful background check. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Melissa, second by Gail. Any discussion? Aaron?
So her start date on the form was August 22nd. Is Mr. Ani supporting the summer band camp then this summer?
Correct.
Okay.
A good question, Aaron. Any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second for approval to hire Jennifer Redfern, band teacher at the middle school at a salary of $47,398.23 upon a successful background check. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Number 6, policy and procedures. Approval of the second reading of the policy FDG dropouts. Is there a motion? Motion by Melissa, second by Diane. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. B, approval of the second reading of policy AACA, section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Motion, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Melissa, second by Gail. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. C, approval of the second reading of the policy ABEA Wellness and subsequent approval of the second reading of the ABEA-AR3 Smarts Snacks in School. Is there a motion? Motion by Melissa, second by Aaron. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, Jason, go ahead.
So the snacks, this would include anything a teacher would provide, I'm assuming? Anything, but birthday treats would be like excluded. Am I correct so far?
Yes. So these standards apply in all school locations through all services where foods, beverages are sold, which may include, but are not limited to, a la carte options. So, you know, when you go and you add on vending machines, school stores, and snack or food carts.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the second reading of the policy ABEA Wellness and subsequent approval of the second reading of ABEA-AR3 Smart Snacks in Schools. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 7, tuition. Approval of a 6th grade student to attend Medina Public Schools for the 2021 to 2022 school year. Is there a motion? Motion by Jason, second by Melissa. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. B, approval of a 6th grade student to attend Montpelier Public School for the 2021, 2022, and 2022 and 2023 school year. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Melissa, second by Diane. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. C, approval of a 4th and 5th grade Barnes County North School student to attend Jamestown Public Schools for the 2021-2022 school year. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Melissa, second by Aaron. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Nothing under other for 8. Items for future agenda. Does the board have anything that they'd like on future agendas? I think we have the hearing coming up. That was an item for a future agenda. Anything else? If there's anything that comes up, just contact Dr. Luck or myself. Meetings to be scheduled. We have a school board meeting on Monday, May 16th, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room at the middle school. The GED graduation is on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Thompson Community Room at the middle school. Transition program graduation is on Wednesday, May 18th at 11 a.m. at the bunker. There's a health insurance committee meeting on Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 3:45 in the multipurpose room at the middle school. And there's high school graduation on Sunday, May 29th, 2022 at 2:30 PM at the Civic Center. I'd also like to add that SEC is having a meeting at their new location in Fargo this Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Information should be on their website. Any other meetings that were missed? Okay. Amy, do you have any information for graduations? Do you have everything you need so far? Okay, perfect. So we have monthly superintendent evaluation, Section 2, board relations, and Section 3, human resource management. There being no further business before the board, the meeting's adjourned.